Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include rumors of a new Knights of the Old Republic game, CD Projekt Red banning Keanu Reeves sex mods, the alleged Diablo 2 remake, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. In our first story, a new Knights of the Old Republic game is reportedly in development outside of EA. Rumors of a new KOTOR are not new, but this new info is that it's being developed outside of EA. And this follows after the reveal that EA will no longer be the only company permitted to develop Star Wars games, as we covered in this video over here. Now this comes according to multiple sources, including credited Star Wars insider Bespin Bulletin, which states in a recent podcast that a new installment in the KOTOR series is in development at an unnamed game developer. Quote, "Amongst my digging, I heard there is a Knights of the Old Republic project in development somewhere. I talked to a couple of people, and I also found out that Jason Schreier said that it's not with EA and will, quote, never guess who the studio is that's making this game." Jason Schreier, of course, being a journalist with access to numerous insider connections in the gaming industry. Now, KOTOR is a highly beloved RPG, but if we'll never guess who is making the next installment, that rules out the most obvious names, as well as a lot of big names in RPGs. So no BioWare, no Obsidian, probably no Bethesda, probably no CD Projekt Red, and sadly, probably no Larian Studios, who likely would be the most trusted outside developer to handle the project. Let's hope for the best, because it's about time we get another great Star Wars RPG. On to some Cyberpunk news. As the devs continue to release patches to fix bugs, they've also released official modding support tools to help modders mod. Well, it didn't take long for modders to do what modders do best: turn everything into porn. A mod emerged that let players have intercourse with none other than Johnny Silverhand, the character played by Keanu Reeves. It was a simple mod that lets you swap character models, and so you can swap the model of a sex bot with Keanu Reeves. Now, the developer CD Projekt Red stepped in and shut the mod down. And when PC Gamer reached out for comment, CDPR said, quote, "Our most important rule regarding user-generated content, game mods in particular, is that it can't be harmful towards others. In the case of model swaps, especially those that involve explicit situations, it can be perceived as such by the people who lent us their appearance for the purpose of creating characters in Cyberpunk 2077. Therefore, when making fan content, creators have to make sure they've got permission from all the concerned parties, which might be people other than CD Projekt Red. For the characters we've invented for the game, we broadly permit you to tweak the game at will and just have fun. When it comes to models of real people whom we've asked to participate in the game, we kindly ask you to refrain from using them in any situation that might be found offensive if you don't have their explicit permission." Now, while I'm sure that CDPR had good intentions here, by shutting down this mod, they've turned this into a news story and attracted far more attention to things. It's the Streisand effect. And now, like the Hydra of Pornhub, CDPR may have cut off one head, but two more Keanu sex mods will likely spring up in its place. On to some action RPG news. Wolcen has received a new patch that has been well received by the player base, which includes lots of bug fixes and a significant adjustment, buff, to a rare NPC vendor that can spawn in your maps. In Last Epoch news, the devs released a post detailing their new DPS tooltip system, which is looking fantastic. See this comparison to the old tooltips. In Grim Dawn news, version 119 has released with a whole host of changes and new features, including new sets and new maps. Now onto some Lost Ark news. This MMO ARPG has been out in the East for years now, since December 2018. And ARPG fans have been wondering, when will it come to the West? When will we get a North American or European client? Yes, technically we can play via VPN and a bunch of workarounds, but it will be nice to just have a proper North American/European client. The hype for this game years ago was immense. It was being touted as the Diablo 4 killer. But because it's taken so long to come to the West, that hype has simmered down. Now, during the summer of 2020, we learned that Amazon Games entered into an exclusive publishing agreement with Smilegate RPG, the Eastern publisher of Lost Ark. The agreement was to publish a game in 2021. And while it was not made explicit, a lot of speculation suggested that this game would be Lost Ark. Well, now rumors are heating up that Lost Ark will indeed see a Western release this year, with some whispering suggesting the game is currently in closed alpha, that beta will begin soon, and that the game will release this summer. Now, these are just rumors because the sources could not be verified, but one individual on Reddit by the name of Whippy89 insists he had never heard of Lost Ark before this week, when he allegedly took a survey that showcased a trailer for Lost Ark with placeholder assets that stated an NA/EU release would be soon, with the words "this summer" appearing, as well as "sign up for the beta now." Now, take all this with a grain of salt, nothing is confirmed, these are just rumors, but we should find out soon enough. After waiting this long, we won't have to wait too much longer. In other news, Netflix has announced a new Tomb Raider anime series being developed by Legendary that will follow Lara Croft after the events of the last Tomb Raider trilogy, which ended with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, we have no release date, but anime adaptations of video games have proven popular on Netflix, specifically with the Castlevania series. And this leads us into our Diablo section, because I'm sure some of you folks are wondering, well, whatever happened to that alleged Diablo Netflix series? Now, this series was leaked a couple years ago, and it was later accidentally confirmed by an Activision Blizzard executive when he put it on his LinkedIn profile. So we know that an animated Netflix Diablo series was definitely in some phase of development at some point. Whether it was cancelled or not, we simply don't know. But Nineball, host of the West March Workshop Diablo podcast, recently pointed out that in the past few weeks, Activision Blizzard sued Netflix for poaching executives, suggesting that the two companies don't have a positive relationship and may have parted ways. Whatever it means, it's unlikely to be good news for the project. In other Blizzard news, following up on last week's story of Activision-owned studio Vicarious Visions being merged into Blizzard to work exclusively on Blizzard games, we've received this week confirmation that the former studio head of Vicarious Visions, Jennifer O'Neill, has taken a position of leadership within Blizzard as Executive Vice President of Development, reporting directly to Blizzard President J. Allen Brack. On LinkedIn, she shared the following, quote, "We've been collaborating with Blizzard for some time now, have built up a great relationship, been able to share our respective strengths, and learn from each other along the way. It's also become clear that we have an alignment in our values, particularly in the quality bars we set for ourselves and passion for making epic experiences. We can't wait to show you what we've been working on." Now, as we covered last week, the leaks suggest that would be a Diablo 2 remake, as reported by Jason Schreier. Since then, there's been a lot of speculation in the community over whether this is a Diablo 2 remaster or remake and what the implications could be either way. Now, I reached out to Jason Schreier for clarification, and while he used the term remake, he didn't mean to suggest anything about the scope of the project. That is to say, just because he said remake does not mean we should expect a full 3D version of the game with Diablo 4 graphics. The bottom line is we ultimately don't know what the scope is, and we shouldn't take his use of the word remake to mean anything. Now, my personal belief is that the project will technically be a remake, since all the art assets need to be remade if they're going to be upscaled into higher resolution. But I think Blizzard will present and market the product as a remaster. Now, following the poor reception to Warcraft 3 Reforged, Blizzard said that they felt part of the reason for the poor reception was because people were expecting a remake when the product itself is a remaster, and that they, Blizzard, should have done a better job communicating that it was a remaster and not a remake. They also said that they would not repeat this mistake, and that's why I believe Blizzard will call Diablo 2 Resurrected a remaster. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, how can you look forward to a Diablo 2 remaster after Warcraft 3 Reforged? And to that, we need to point out that Warcraft 3 Reforged was developed in-house by Blizzard's Classic Games team, which was later merged into its Team 1. Only some art assets were outsourced for Warcraft 3 Reforged. The project overall was developed in-house. And as per Jason Schreier, Blizzard's Team 1 has since been disbanded. Back in October, Blizzard informed Team 1 of their plans, and over the course of the next few weeks, team members were given the opportunity to interview for other positions within Blizzard. So now it's Vicarious Visions, or what formerly was Vicarious Visions, that is allegedly handling the Diablo 2 remake, and they just recently released remasters of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, which were very well received. So, in short, the people working on Diablo 2 Resurrected are not the same people who handled Warcraft 3 Reforged, and technically aren't even Blizzard at all. So for those who want to point to Warcraft 3 Reforged as a reason to think Diablo 2 Resurrected will be bad, again, it's a completely different team, and it's a team that has proven that it can make good remasters. Now, in some Diablo Immortal news, Wowhead has been data mining a bunch of art assets from the game and releasing them over the past few weeks, including armor sets, weapon sets, and most recently, creatures. If you want to check them out for yourself, you can follow the links in the video description below. In some Diablo 1 news, the biggest update for Diablo 1 Chernobog has released. Chernobog is a popular Diablo 1 mod that adds some D2 features into D1 while aiming to retain the spirit of D1. This latest update includes an entirely new class called the Spellblade, pictured in this video. And lastly, in Diablo news, I released this week the latest episode in my Diablo lore series. In it, we talk about the rise and fall of the Skeleton King. Do be sure to check that out. And that's going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out last week's video, in which we discussed the full Diablo 2 remaster news. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rikers Raiders for more gaming content.